If you are a man over 50 and you are not lifting weights, you are missing out on the best way to live longer, stay stronger, and feel better.
You deserve to live your best life. Say goodbye to preconceived notions and let's shatter those stereotypes together. Get ready to own your vitality because age, well, that's just a number.
Thank you for joining me today on Age is Just a Number. We are talking today about why, if you are a man in your 50s, and this can apply to your 60s and maybe your 40s too, but you absolutely need to be lifting weights and why it's such a priority. And I also want to tell you to stay right till the end. At the end, I'm going to do a quick bonus piece and talk about my 3 go-to must-do exercises for you as far as going back to the gym and starting to work out and lift weights. All right. So if you're enjoying this kind of content, if it's what you want to help you stay fit and healthy in your 50s and beyond, just want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. And let's get right into it. So let's talk about some statistics of what is happening to our bodies as we age. Now, after we turned 30, every decade, the science tells us that we lose somewhere between 3 and 5 or 3 and 8% of our muscle. And why is that important? Well, because muscle is actually what keeps us our metabolism high, because muscle is metabolically active. So it's vital that we do something about that. And this accelerates after we turn 50 and then accelerates again after we turn 60. And so by the age of 60, up to 30% of men are at risk of frailty, weakness, and actually a loss of independence of lifestyle as a result of those things. Now, let's keep going, okay? Testosterone levels drop roughly 1% every year after turning 40. And so again, that's going to affect our metabolism, that's going to affect our strength and our muscle growth. The Harvard Health Publishing Journal, they emphasize that declining muscle mass is part of aging, but, and here's a big but, it is not inevitable because strength training can help reverse the process, preserve muscle mass, and even add muscle mass. So vitally, vitally important. So let's break down some benefits of lifting weights in our 50s or in your 40s for that matter, but just start. How's that? Just start. But let's talk about some benefits of what that does for us. And this first one is huge. It combats muscle loss and builds strength. So hypertrophy and adaptation can happen in our 50s, can happen, and we're going to look at something that, you know what, let me just read this next one. There was a study done and published in Frontiers Physiology in 2019 that men in their 70s gained muscle mass and strength with progressive resistance training. So it's so important in whatever age we're in here, but it combats the muscle loss and builds the strength. So, okay, next, it naturally boosts testosterone. So here's what the science tells us. Heavy compound lifts, so that's like squats and bench press and things like that, can naturally raise testosterone levels. Now, let's just stop a minute and understand something. Heavy is relative, okay? If you're going to the gym or going back to the gym or just starting at the gym, that doesn't mean I need to go and lift as heavy as I can right off of the hop or at any point in the process. Heavy is relative. So what we want to make sure that we understand is we're going to progressively work on heavy. So we're not going in there and sacrificing form to lift really heavy. We're not going in there and trying to compete with anybody else in the gym and what they're lifting, but we're going to lift what's heavy for us so that we can gradually get stronger, okay? So important that we understand that. And some things that we can put together with that, lower testosterone is responsible, based among other things, but will result in more belly fat, weaker bones, and less energy. I don't think those are things that any of us want to have not just in our 50s, but in our 40s and so on as well. So the fact is that consistent weightlifting helps optimize hormonal health. And so that's why this really needs to be a priority for us. Why else is weightlifting in your 50s an absolute necessity? I think we're on number 3 here. It prevents osteoporosis and strengthens the bones. And we know bone density declines with age, and bone density declines as we don't do anything to stimulate that. And so what we find is that lifting weights and weight-bearing exercises stimulates bone growth and reduces fracture risk. Okay, let's continue on. What's another reason? It reduces belly fat and improves metabolism. So we said this before, but muscle is metabolically active. So 1 pound of muscle roughly burns 6 to 7 calories at rest. And so if we can add more muscle, and here's the thing, we're not talking about you becoming a bodybuilder, and if you want to, that's fine. But we're talking about you adding this to your lifestyle so that there can be more muscle on your frame, so that, just like we said in the beginning, you can live longer, you can live stronger, and stay younger longer. Weight training also improves cardiovascular health. So lifting weights improves blood pressure and circulation. And if we combine it with some form of cardio, whether it's zone 2, we've done a whole episode on zone 2 cardio and about high intensity cardio and all of these things. So I'm 55. When I was in my early 40s, probably even to the mid 40s, I had, even though I was working out and things, but I had high blood pressure. I was on all sorts of medication for blood pressure and these things, and there was some family history there and so on. But I can tell you right now today that I really got serious about dealing with the high blood pressure and these things, and also about the fact that I don't want to be a burden ever for my family, for my daughter. And so I took some things seriously, changed some things in my diet, really got on top of the cardio with the training and everything else. And today, I don't take any medication for high blood pressure, blood thinners, any of those things. And, I took my blood pressure the other day, which I do periodically, and just so I'm keeping track of it. But I took my blood pressure the other day, and, it was like 117 over 78. So that's right in that wheelhouse. But how did I get there? I got there by doing some hard work in the training and the nutrition that went with it and everything. And as a result of that, I'm able to keep those numbers where they need to be and not be on medication to do it. So now, if you're saying, hey, is that going to happen for me? Well, you need to talk to your doctor about these things and about lifestyle changes and how that works. But that's a conversation that you need to have with your doctor before you do anything along those lines. So, okay, what else? Weight training also enhances cognitive health. So resistance training improves brain function, memory, and reduces dementia risk. And these are all important things when we talk about aging and aging gracefully. So the Neurology Journal in 2021 published a study that lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week improved cognitive scores in older adults. And that's what we're talking about here. Okay, what else? It prevents injuries and improves joint health. So these are all vital things, right? So lifting improves joint stability, mobility, it improves functional strength. So that's you being able to actually lift something, move something, and these are keys for longevity. And it also reduces lower back and knee pain by strengthening the supporting muscles. And there's also, when it comes to weight training, we need to understand the importance of maintaining good form and the correct weight, because your joints can, if you don't do it right, it can be hard on your joints. And I'm just speaking from experience on that. So here's what I was talking about before. Research shows that even men in their 80s can benefit from resistance training. Now, if you're starting in your 70s or 80s, it's going to look different than starting in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's all relevant, relative to the, obviously to your age. But the thing is, it's never too late. 30 to 45 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week is all it takes to transform your life. Where do I find the time? Well, for me, I go to the gym first thing in the morning because I'm a single dad. So I need to be home to get my daughter ready and both of us ready, but to get her moving and heading out the doors because I take her to school. So I go first thing in the morning, super early. And you might be saying, well, that's not going to work for me. That's fine, but you need to find out what does work for you. Where can you carve out 30 to 45 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week for your health, for your family's benefit, because they're ultimately going to benefit from it as well. And this is one of the things where we understand this is not something we do alone. You need to recognize your family's involved in this so they can be there as a support and to help you through the whole process. The bonus piece of the 3 exercises my top 3 exercises for weightlifting, and sometimes there's variations of these that I do, but let me just give them to you real simple. Number 1 is deadlifts, or some kind of variation of deadlifts. It builds total body strength, focuses on your posterior chain, so that's your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back. This is important, obviously, as we age. It enhances functional strength for everyday tasks like lifting things, like carrying things. It'll improve your bone density, but you can start with lighter weights when you do these if you've never done them before, like maybe a kettlebell. There's alternatives to just standard deadlifts like Romanian deadlifts, or using a trap bar because it's easier on your lower back. But the point is incorporating the mobility work so that we maintain strength in our hamstrings, in our glutes, in our hips, and in our lower back. So that's number 1. Number 2 is squats. And why are squats important? Well, they strengthen the legs. That's pretty important. They strengthen the core. That's pretty important. And it's critical. These things are critical for maintaining our independence, but also preventing falls. So very important. Supports our joint health. Increases our lower body flexibility and promotes better posture. Now, when it comes to squats, if you're just starting, you may be doing this with just body weight squats. But the point of this is make sure your form is good and you're doing weight that you can reasonably manage. Okay, and number 3, push-ups or bench press or some variation of bench press. And why is that important? Because this builds our upper body strength, builds our shoulders, obviously builds our chest, shoulders, and triceps, and also improves core stability. It's scalable for all fitness levels. So you can start with push-ups from your knees, but then you can move on to regular push-ups, or you can start with a bench and increase the weight. And for me, I don't usually do standard bench press. I do them once in a while, but I do a variation of bench press. So I usually do some kind of incline bench press. And so the idea is keeps that whole upper body strong and together, okay? So let me give you one final takeaway from this, or a couple, I guess. Number 1 is always prioritize form. When you're going to the gym to work out, never compromise your form. Always make it a priority because you want to avoid injuries. Number 2, make sure that you allow yourself enough time to recover, because recovery is vital. And number 3 is make sure to warm up. We did a whole episode on not getting hurt and things about training in our later years, so you can catch that as well. We'll put that in the description. Thank you again for joining us. And please take a minute, subscribe to the channel. We are, like I said, putting out a lot of great information. And if you find this helpful, this will help us, and it'll also make sure you don't miss anything. So we'll see you next time.